shortcuts for Logos 4, part 5 of 6, and we are in shortcuts basically 60 through 80. And all these shortcuts, this webinar series is devoted to help you save time and become a Logos 4 Pro. And the idea behind the webinar is this series is to just jump in, show you a feature, jump out. But tonight's going to be a little bit different. For example, we're going to actually make tonight dedicated to Bible study. And let me go back up there. So we're going to look at the topics of Bible study, moving you from prayer all the way through the conclusion for writing a sermon if you want to do that. And then we're going to cover some miscellaneous features as well. So in one webinar, we're just going to work through the whole Bible study process and show you shortcuts and study strategies throughout. So this will be a lot of fun, real practical. As you can see, this is our calendar for this year for the first Monday of the month webinars. And next month, we'll wrap it up with part 6 of 6. So at this point, I'll just throw out there, if you have any suggestions, if you've been watching these Top 100 Shortcuts series, if you've got any suggestions, some shortcuts you want to see, just email me, and I'll make sure that I try to include those next time around. But you can see we've got some great study important doctrines coming up, one another, divorce, remarriage, overcoming sin, and some other ones, the theology of work, theology of missions, mastering your library, choosing a Bible translation, etc. So very excited with what we still have yet in upcoming months. Don't forget, we have free live training 3 times a month for those of you new, every first Monday of the month, and the next one in May, we just discussed that, Top 100 Shortcuts, the last one in the series. Next webinar, which will be the third Monday of every month, April 16th, will be apologetics, using Logos to answer the unbeliever. So very practical in that one. And then the last webinar each month is the fourth Monday of every month, and that'll be April 23rd. And we're going to be studying the important doctrine Logos 4, suicide. And you may not realize this, but there are 7 suicides in the Bible. So I'm going to show you how to study that, learn from that, and help you understand what God has to say not only about suicide, but how you can help others who may be contemplating that. You can sign up at LearnLogos.com/webinar. Just a quick reminder, each webinar is recorded here live at the LearnLogos studios, and so we get great quality of sound as well as high quality video. It retails for $9.99, but we give you a discount of 50% off, and we'll send a link out within the next 24 hours for you to download. For those of you who have yet to get the training CDs, very important distinction between the free live training and the CDs. The CDs take you through, I'll take you through the study, or let me back up, overview. The orange CD will overview every feature in Logos 4. And in fact, that's what the green CD as well. It's an update, which we include free updates to the training for Logos 4. As long as you buy your product from me, we'll update your training for free for version 4. So that's a great feature. And we take you through slowly, systematically. We've got interactive and non-interactive videos. The webinars are kind of fast-moving, very topic-driven, and so it's a completely different experience than the training CDs. The blue CDs, 2 of them, is called Best Practices, and the purpose there is to walk you through a Bible passage, showing you how to study with the Logos tool. From we're going to use the Matthew 28:16 through 20, the Great Commission passage. So these 4 CDs represent over 15 hours of training. Actually, I need to update my slide. It's over 17 hours of training and over 305 videos. So it is really, truly remarkable how much content's on there for the great value that it is. We give you 50% off, and that brings the price down anywhere from $34.99 to $44.99 if you want to get it CD, download, or both. Okay. So let's begin, and really tonight's topic is studying the Bible shortcuts, and there's 20 of them. And what I want to do is walk you through each step along the way and show you how Logos can be used to help you in that step in the Bible study process. So let's go down, but first I want to begin with the introduction, because this is a concept that I want to introduce to you. When you think about training, most people think about features. Hey, show me a bell and a whistle in Logos. But the truth is, after you learn the bell and whistle, what do you do with it? And so that's where the idea of a task comes in mind. So what this training is going to do is give you a feature, but then connect it to a task. Additionally, we're going to connect you to a study methodology. That is, we're going to help prepare you to study the Bible more effectively, having good Bible study strategies. But again, this is not all that's needed. You need one more piece in this puzzle, and that's the resources. So when you combine all four of these, you take a feature, apply it to a task, guided by a methodology, targeting a resource or resources, you are now studying efficiently and studying successfully. So let's begin with some prayer. And I want to walk through some key resources. Now, tonight's webinar is a little unique. There's going to be a supplement that will be included. In fact, I'll just bring that on the screen so you can see that. And we've got the supplement right here. So a lot of the things I'm going to be talking about are all in here. So you'll have access to that. In fact, I've got a bibliography on prayer that I've included in here as well. Okay, so let's begin with 4 key resources. This is my first shortcut, and the reason I call this a shortcut is because these 4 resources are absolutely critical. Now, the first one may surprise you, won't shock you, but indeed I have chosen the Bible. Now, I've chosen a specific place in the Bible, which is why I call this a shortcut, because of all the prayers in the Bible, this is the one spot that if you understand how Jesus is teaching us to pray, then you will learn how to pray more effectively. And of course, that is in Matthew 6:1, but also in Luke 11:1 through 13. And I include the full context here because there's additional information in both resources. Now, let me show you how to open up 2 Bibles. If you ever try to do this, it can be a little frustrating if you try to open 2 of the same resources. So what I do is I open the first resource, which we have here, New American Standard Bible, and then I click on Library. I'll type in my Bible translation again, and I will drag that resource into the workspace. And now I've got 2 of the same resources. So let me go back and get our Matthew passage there. All right. So now we've got the 2 Bible translations, or 2 books or NASBs, and we got 2 different passages. Now, as you can see here, I'm going to highlight the 2 parts of the passage that actually deal with the Lord's, basically disciples' prayer. Many people call this the Lord's Prayer, but really it's the disciples' prayer because Jesus is teaching you how to pray. And it's not a prayer to be recited or repeated, as Jesus rebukes that in verse 7 of Matthew 6. And when you are praying, do not use meaningless repetition as the Gentiles do, for they suppose they'll be heard for their many words. But actually, this is a paradigm or principles for prayer. And so if you're not, all of us are familiar with this passage, but it's just a great reminder that this is where you go in all the Bible to learn how to pray. Now, let me give you some additional resources as well that I think you'll find very helpful. The first one is Handbook to Prayer. Specifically, what I like about this book are 2 things. First is he shows you the 8 forms of prayer that he believes Jesus from this disciples' prayer models. And that is, the 8 forms are adoration, confession, renewal, petition, intercession, affirmation, thanksgiving, and a closing prayer. And he believes all these are illustrated in this model prayer. That's the first reason why I like this resource. The second one is that he actually teaches you how to pray. So what I'm going to do is just kind of go to day 1, and you can see here how he has adoration. And he gives you some examples of some scriptures. Then he shows you confession. Then he shows you renewal. And he goes through petition, intercession, affirmation, thanksgiving. So he models this for you from day 1, day 2, all the way through. Now you can use these as guides, or he can also, in the 2nd month, he shows you how to do it. And then the 3rd month. And basically it represents 1 quarter of the year. And then once you've done that, you can repeat that. And he also has a daily prayer as well, which is really neat too. So there's your adoration for Monday and so forth. And I'll just scroll down. So if you're really looking to be a disciplined individual in prayer, I can't think of any finer book that can teach you. You always see these workout training videos, and 60 days will make you lean and mean. Well, Kenneth Boa will do it in 90 days. He will make you a prayer warrior if you stay faithful to this book and resource. So it's a great 90-day journey. Highly recommend it. The second book that I think would be really good complement to this, which is going to go into a much greater understanding, teach you about the Lord's Prayer. Why is it 8 forms and so forth? And that is going to be Alone with God by John MacArthur. This whole little book is basically on the Lord's Prayer, on the disciples' prayer. And he talks about the 7 patterns of prayer. He first begins with the attitude of prayer. And then, which is a heart set on God, and then seeking the Lord in secret. And then he gets into the pattern of prayer. And he identifies 7 patterns. And those are identified by the phrases in the disciples' prayer. So the Our Father, what does it mean? In fact, let me jump there just to give you a little foretaste of what this is. The prayer is, this is MacArthur, the prayer is mainly a model we can use to give direction to our own praise, adoration, and petitions. It is not a substitute for our own prayers, but a guide for them. Very important. And here's an example of how he explains. The initial benefit of this prayer is the way it exhibits the believer's relationship with God. Our Father presents the father-child relationship. Hallowed be thy name. The deity or worshiper, the kingdom come, the sovereign subject, thy will be done, the master servant. Give us this day our daily bread, the benefactor and beneficiary. Forgive us our debts, the Savior sinner, and do not lead into temptation, the guide pilgrim. This prayer also defines the attitude and spirit we ought to have. R reflects unselfishness. Father reflects family devotion. Hallowed be thy name, reverence. Thy kingdom come, loyalty. Thy will be done, submission. Give us this daily bread, dependence. Forgive us our debts, penitence. Do not lead us into temptation, humility. Thine is the kingdom, triumph and glory, exaltation, and forever hope. So you can just see, this is just 2 paragraphs of how MacArthur has really gone into this passage of Scripture and unfolded it and opened it up for you to study and understand. So I really believe you need both. The Kenneth Boa prayer is going to help you in the discipline, and then the MacArthur book is going to explain and teach you more about this prayer. And it's concise, it's wonderful, and it really will be a blessing to you. And then, of course, the last resource that I think is absolutely critical, I've talked about this before, is an exposition on prayer. Every prayer of the Bible has been explained and exposited in 2,800 pages, from Genesis all the way through Revelation. And just to give you an example, every book begins with an introduction. So he shows you a little bit about the background of the book and talks about things like that. Great, lots of cross references. And then what he does is he talks about the author, the date, and the title. Okay, and then he will give you kind of the relation of the rest of Scripture and how it relates. So that's really cool. And then the theme, and then he's going to give you an outline for the whole book of Genesis in this case. So that's really great, a nice outline. And most of the outlines are alliterated, which is really cool. And then he'll talk about prayer in Genesis in general, and then he'll begin to go through and identify each prayer in the book, wherever it is. So it's a commentary on prayers of the Bible. Now, it covers, like I said, every prayer of the Bible. The only exception is the book of Psalms. He decided to choose some key Psalms rather than doing all 150. If he had chosen to do all 150, I don't think he would ever got this book done. It took him 15 plus years to get it ready. So this is another excellent resource that you want to have in the list in your study. So as you're studying, you can identify different prayers in the Bible. So very, very cool. And so these are the beginning of the first shortcut, 4 key resources. Now let's go into establishing your pattern of prayer. So let me close this down. And let me show you how you can take this and really make it work for you. Now what I've done is I've opened up a note file. To open up a note file in Review, you go to File, and then you click on Notes. And what I've done, let me just expand, is I put in today's date, or when I created this, 4/12, and I put Bo in there so you could distinguish from the other one. And I put all of his 8 principles or forms of prayer in the note box. And then what I can do is each day begin to type out what I'm adoring. Maybe it is a Psalm 1, that I'm adoring God. Maybe there's some sin I need to confess, so I put it in here. and so forth, and renewal, etc. And so by creating this note, I can begin now to create a journal. And Susan wanted to know who's the author. It's Dr. Roscup, who actually was, believe it or not, the teacher of John MacArthur when John MacArthur was in seminary. So there's a close affinity there and a deep friendship as well. And Dr. Roscup is my former seminary professor and the most godly man you'll ever meet on the planet. So real neat man and great resource. So you can create a note file, and this is what I recommend as a shortcut. Create a note file, paste those 8 forms in here, and then you can begin to type those in there, and then as God answers them, you can put it in there. Notice I've got it checked, pray this item every day. You can change that, of course, however you want, in the frequency you want. So this is a great way to record the items. Okay, so the question by Bob is, so do you just copy and paste the template for each day? Yes. In fact, on my supplement, I have these 8 identified, and then you could do that. So what you might want to do to make it easy for yourself is just add a prayer, copy these, make maybe the first one in the list, and just put a blank one in there. And then you can just copy and paste from there to the next prayer. That's a great, easy way to do this. Okay, excellent question. Let's now go to another establishing pattern of prayer, and let's look at the